Hi, my name is Vivian and I'm an aspiring sci-fi and fantasy author. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the plot of Bridgerton and how you can use this show as an example when you're plotting your stories. There are spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched Bridgerton, I suggest you watch it first, then come back to this video. Anyways, I hope you get value from this video. Now let's get into it. Act 1, Setup, Exposition. In Act 1 of a story, this is where the stage is set up. The world needs to be established and also the characters your readers will be following. The opening scene in Bridgerton, we see the Governor's Square in London, where the well-to-do families live. The year is 1813. So off the bat, we know the setting of the story. The show follows two families, the Featheringtons and the Bridgertons. In this breakdown, we will only talk about the Bridgerton family. The lead character. We're introduced to the main character, Daphne Bridgerton. She is of age and is getting ready to be introduced to society to find a suitor. Reputation means everything, especially for a lady who is stepping into society. Daphne is to be presented to the queen. When you write the opening scene in your story with your lead character, make sure your lead character is in motion. The queen's opinion holds a lot of weight for the desirability of the ladies. Only the queen's eye matters today, the narrator says. Daphne is presented to the queen and the queen approves, calling her flawless. Daphne's dream is to find a pure, true love and be a mother, just like her mother did before her father died. She expresses this dream to her sister Eloise. As soon as you can, show the lead character's hopes and desires, because it connects to the goal they want to achieve in the story. There is an anonymous writer called Lady Whistledown. She is like a gossip columnist. She knows everyone's secrets and exposes them. Her opinion also matters. She can either raise a person's reputation or break it. Lady Whistledown echoes the Queen's words, and the whole of London is talking about Daphne. The second lead character. We're introduced to Simon, the Duke of Hastings. He arrives at Lady Danbury's estate. She was a friend of his late mother and raised him. His father just died and he came to London on some business. Lady Danbury is hosting the season's opening ball and tells him to make an appearance. The Duke doesn't want to because he doesn't want to get married, but he reluctantly agrees to attend. Usually in romance stories, they always introduce the lead character and the love interest in Act 1. Because they're the two main characters and their storylines will meet because it is a love story. The allies and opponents. We're also introduced to Daphne's siblings, Eloise, Anthony, Benedict, Colin, and her mother, Victoria. Anthony is the eldest, and he is now the man of the house after the death of their father. Anthony and Victoria are dedicated to Daphne's success of finding a suitor. Some of her siblings have other dreams and don't care for living to society's standards. Eloise and Daphne have had a few arguments about this. After the Queen's proclamation, the other families like the Featheringtons, the Cowpers, and others find Daphne as a competition. Daphne has some allies that will support her in achieving her goal, and there are also opponents who will make Daphne achieving her goal much harder. With the Duke, Lady Danbury wants the best for him, which makes her an ally, but him not wanting to marry and take responsibility for his rank creates conflict. Everyone who is anybody attends the season's opening ball. All the eligible ladies are trying to secure a suitor or more, and the suitors are trying to find their prize. Daphne, her mother, and eldest brother Anthony attend. But with every suitor that approaches Daphne, her brother shuts them down. Anthony is an ally because he wants his sister to have the best suitor, but he is shutting down potential suitors left and right, which frustrates Daphne to reaching her goal of finding a true love match. You can make the ally and the main character disagree on some things. It doesn't make them an opponent, but it creates conflict, which makes the story more interesting. Daphne meets the Lord Burbrook, who is a total creep. She bumps into the Duke of Hastings and tries to strike a conversation with him to get away from the Lord. In this scene, the two main characters meet each other. Another tip, if you're writing a story with 2 or more POV characters, have them meet each other as early as possible. The Duke is rude because he believes Daphne is throwing herself at him like the mothers and the other ladies at the ball. She's appalled by his rudeness. Her brother Anthony is looking for her and finds her with the Duke. He and the Duke are old friends who went to Oxford University together. Callers are flooding the Bridgerton home for days, trying to court Daphne. But Anthony is blacking, scaring the suitors away. Lady Whistledown is also an opponent because she is an anonymous writer and has no loyalty. She can say whatever she wants and write whatever she wants. She writes that Daphne is not incomparable after all, and the queen may have been wrong. The suitors are running away and she hasn't been proposed to, which brings down her desirability. Daphne confronts her brother about how he is sabotaging her future. Lady Whistledown also takes her shot at the Duke as well, calling him an uncatchable rake, whatever that means. He never wants to marry, and who among the ladies can break through and win the Duke's heart? The Duke is now swarmed by more mothers and ladies wherever he goes. With no more suitors calling for Daphne, the Lord Burbrook calls on Daphne and shoots his shot. He's an opponent because he is not what Daphne has in mind of a true love mate, and he also imposes himself on her, telling her that they were meant to be together because she doesn't have any more callers. Later on, Anthony speaks with Daphne. He believes that Lord Burbrook will be a suitable match for her and that they are to be engaged. This is not what Daphne had in mind. Nope. The inciting incident. At the Vauxhall celebration, and she confronts him, saying she will never marry him. He advances towards her and the Duke sees their exchange. He runs to her rescue, but Daphne punches the Lord in the face and knocks him out. Short moments later, the Lord wakes up from his knockout, asking her to marry him, and he reminds her that she has no other choice. The Duke questions Daphne on considering his proposal, but like the Lord says, she has no choice. She has no other suitors. Then the Duke asks to court Daphne. This is the inciting incident because this incident has shaken up Daphne's world and she can't go back to her old way of life. The first plot point. The Duke comes up with a plan on which they can help each other. They pretend that they're dating so that the Lady Whistledown can stop ruining their reputations with her column. Daphne will get more suitors because her being with the Duke will raise her desirability, and he will be seen as unavailable. The mothers and the debutantes will stop ambushing him. Daphne will now have to keep up with this lie to reach her goal. This situation launches her into the journey of the story. We then see the Duke and Daphne at the ball, hand in hand, dancing on the dance floor, and everyone at the ball is talking about it. The next day, Lady Whistledown writes about how Daphne is not ineligible anymore because she has caught the eye of the Duke. Now they're the couple to look at throughout the whole season. Now Daphne has entered through the first door of no return. She has no choice but to commit to this facade. If not, it will ruin her reputation and ruin her dreams of finding her true love match. Think about your inciting incident and first plot point. What ways can you shake up your character's world and force them into making hard decisions? Act 2. The Journey, Trials, and Tribulations. Daphne immediately receives more callers the next day. Anthony and Lord Burbrook arrive at the Bridgerton estate and see the line of suitors. Anthony has already planned for Daphne and Lord Burbrook to be engaged. The mother tells him about Daphne and the Duke. Anthony finds the Duke and beats him up, saying he isn't fit for his sister, because he knows the Duke very well and knows that he likes to fool around and doesn't want to get married. He still advocates for Lord Burbrook, but the Duke eventually tells Anthony about what happened between them at the Vauxhall ball. Anthony tells Lord Burbrook to never look or speak to his sister ever again, and that there is no engagement. After you introduce the opponents in Act 1, in Act 2, show how they create obstacles for the lead character. Lord Burbrook is getting in Daphne's way of finding her true love match in peace, and he doesn't want to go away or leave her alone. The Bridgerton family and other families are gathered in a park. The Duke and Daphne are talking, laughing, trying to get the attention of other suitors for Daphne. Lord Burbrook storms in with a note that in 3 days, he and Daphne are going to be married. If not, he will spread the rumor that he and Daphne were together in the garden at the Vauxhall ball. That will ruin the Bridgerton name and Daphne's reputation. Here is another obstacle in the way of Daphne's dreams. But she agrees to marry him and give up her hopes of a true love to save her family's name and her future. Act 2 is about the trials. Things to get in the way of your lead character achieving their goal. The mother invites Lord Burbrook's mother for tea, and the Bridgerton servants find out some dirt on Lord Burbrook. The news spreads and eventually made it on Lady Whistledown's column. Lord Burbrook cancels the wedding and leaves town. Daphne has yet again overcome another obstacle. She talks with the Duke and tells him she is serious about finding the perfect suitor and that he should be her right-winged man. He agrees, and since they're friends, she should call him by his name, Simon. But he's showing some interest in Daphne, which she doesn't know and he doesn't tell her. We are given a brief backstory on the Duke and the reason why he doesn't want to marry or have children. It is because his father was so cruel to him as a child that he vowed not to continue the Bassett line as an act of revenge on his father. Daphne has now rejected 3 proposals. She is also showing some interest in the Duke as well, which she also doesn't communicate. I mean, that spoon scene. I mean, who wouldn't? The people of London are talking about the Queen's nephew, Prince Friedrich. He is coming for a visit. All the mothers and their daughters are trying to look their best for him at tonight's ball, especially Cressida Cowper, who works extra hard to get his attention. The prince and Daphne meet, and the prince likes her. They also meet again at the art museum and talk briefly. The prince is interested in Daphne and the queen tells him to win her heart. But Daphne's and Simon's feelings for each other seem to grow, but they don't express it explicitly. Deep down, the other believes that the other is still pretending because of their agreement. Are they acting so well that it is hard to tell if it's real or not? Lady Danbury speaks with Simon, and everyone knows that the prince is very interested in Daphne. She asks him if he is going to propose to Daphne or not. He remembers his vow and he is determined to keep it. The next day he ends their agreement, saying that she has the eye of the prince and that they don't have to pretend anymore. Daphne is hurt. She saw him as a friend, but she also has feelings for him. But she also thinks he must not like her because she can't read his mind. Daphne accepts the prince's efforts and Cressida Cowper is not happy because she wanted the prince. The prince and Daphne go to a boxing match together. She sees the duke and they lock eyes for a quick second. Daphne thinks the prince is a great guy, but it isn't the same feelings she feels when she's with the duke. They were so comfortable with each other. Is she willing to take the risk of being with the prince even though it may not be the true love she's looking for? But she can get close to it, right? And again, the duke doesn't want to marry. He even said they weren't friends, so what choice does she have? The midpoint. The prince gives Daphne a beautiful necklace. She has a conversation with her mom about how he's a good man, but she doesn't quite love him. She realizes she is in love with the duke, but according to her, he doesn't feel the same. But this is her revelation. The midpoint is where the character has a revelation, where some piece of information or some self-discovery occurs. There's a soiree that evening. The Duke decides to leave London and tells Lady Danbury. Lady Danbury scolds him for letting Daphne go. Daphne and the prince are dancing at this soiree. She hasn't yet accepted his proposal, but she is leaning towards a yes. Cressida confronts Daphne, telling her she had the Duke. Why go for the prince when the prince was giving her the attention? Daphne tells her that the prince has made his choice and she is right. Plus, she will not let some jealous girl stand in the way of her happiness, at least the closest she can get to it. The Duke surprisingly appears at the soiree. Daphne sees him and she freaks out. She runs outside to the balcony to get some fresh air and the Duke follows her. He apologizes for what he said and he wants to say goodbye to her because he is leaving London. Daphne tells him that she doesn't care, she's marrying the prince and she's going to be a princess. She storms off towards the garden. The Duke follows her, asking her to stop walking away. He grabs her and kisses her and they have a full-on makeout session. In this scene, I thought, this is it. This is where they're going to be together and the Duke will break his stupid, silly vow. Yay! But let's keep going. Alright, the second plot point. The women in that world have to be innocent. Even a makeout session is seen as a violation. Anthony the brother sees them and punches the Duke in the face, demanding he marry Daphne because he violated her. Daphne is hoping that he would. Then the Duke says he can't. Daphne is confused. Why is he playing with her like this? He may be what would help her reach her goal, but he doesn't love her? Is he fooling with her? That's being very cruel. Anthony says if he doesn't propose, then they will duel at dawn. Well, they decide to duel. Dawn arrives and Simon and Anthony ride out. Daphne then realizes that someone else knows about what happened in the garden. It was Cressida Cowper. She may tell other people and it may reach Lady Whistledown, which will be disastrous for her reputation and her family name. Although the Duke may not love her because he refuses to propose and marry her, in order to save herself and family name, She and the Duke must get married. The longer they wait, the higher the chances of the garden situation leaking out. The Duke then tells her that he can't give her any children, and he knows that was her dream, to have true love and be a mother. He can't give that to her, and she'll be tied up in a life of misery. Daphne's last attempt at a sheer hope of happiness with the prince is gone. She has to think about her future and her family. The second plot point is when the characters' plans blows up in their face, and now they have to accept whatever fate is in front of them. Act 3, the resolution. Daphne tells her mom and the rest of the family that she and the Duke are engaged and that they will be married. The Duke and Anthony tried to get a special license to move the marriage up. The Queen is not happy that Daphne rejected her nephew. The Prince visits Daphne to get some closure. The Archbishop denies the special marriage license. Victoria, Lady Danbury, and Anthony, who are the allies, suggest that the Duke and Daphne appeal to the Queen. The Duke avoids Daphne and keeps getting drunk. He has feelings for her, but the vow he made, he doesn't want to break it. And it is tearing him up that he has succumbed Daphne to a miserable marriage. The day finally arrives where they go to the Queen. Simon tells the Queen that their courting was a sham, and the reason they went with it was to control the narrative Lady Whistledown was writing. But they formed a friendship, and through that friendship, it turned to love. Daphne is speechless, but again, they have to be convincing to the Queen. They have to continue to keep up with the charade. The wedding day arrives, and the vibe between them is strained because each doesn't truly know how the other truly feels. And on top of that, they have to look convincing, but they haven't really gotten the chance to speak to one another. Daphne speaks to her mom about how nervous she is about the wedding night. Gives Daphne a very vague explanation. Throughout the show, the girls know little about intimacy or the actual science of how babies come about. The climax. After the wedding and reception, they leave and spend their wedding night at an inn. They have separate rooms and they're both pacing back and forth, not knowing how to deal with the situation. Daphne opens the door and Simon is on the other side, asking her to dinner. She tells him she doesn't want dinner. She wants to know why for 3 days he hasn't spoken to her. Does she repulse him that much? He tells her no. The reason is that he feels guilty for the misery he has given her. They both still believe that they want nothing to do with each other because they have not been honest with their feelings. He tells her everything he said to the Queen was true and that is how he truly feels. She says she feels the same way too. And at this point in the story, this is the first time where they were truly honest about their feelings. The climax is where the storm in the castle occurs, the final battle. But in this case, he stormed into her bedroom and you know the rest. In a romance, the climax typically is when the two protagonists get together. After the climax, they go back to the Duke's estate in Cliveden and enjoy their honeymoon, where they do it everywhere and anywhere. The falling action. Daphne is not well informed about intimacy and how children come about. She knows the act of making love is how children come about, but she doesn't really know how it actually works. Her mother never told her, the women in her life never told her. She notices that every time her and the Duke are together, he never finishes. She asks her maid for the truth and the maid tells her. One night, they get together again and she confronts him and takes control. He gets upset and asks her what she has done. She tells him he took advantage of her innocence and it's not that he can't give her children, he doesn't want to. Simon then confesses to her about his vow and that he will end the Bassett line. At first, she was okay with not having children because she thought he perhaps had some type of condition. But no, he lied and he tricked her. Tension develops between them, and he tells her if she is pregnant, he will take care of both of them. But if not, they can't ever be together again. They're still in love with each other and still want to be together, but the stupid vow is just getting in the way of their happiness. Daphne is determined to find out what the father did that was so wrong that caused the Duke to make such a ridiculous vow. She finds out that as a boy he had a stammer and the dad disowned him because he wasn't perfect. The denouement. Daphne and the Duke host the end of the season ball at their place and it's beautiful. But it rains. The guests run to avoid getting wet, but Daphne stays out and gets drenched. The Duke is asking her what she is doing, and she tells him he doesn't have to be perfect to receive love. Not everything has to be perfect. Like this ball, it rained. They have to make the best of it, and together they can get through anything. Daphne loves him despite his imperfections. At the end, they welcome their first child. Daphne achieves her dream of marrying for true love and being a mother. But this is a series, so we will see what season 2 brings us. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. I also have how to plot your novel worksheets below. You can download them for free. The details will be in the description box. Click on the next video here and I'll talk to you soon.